Actress Natalie Wood was found dead today.
Her body was found floating here.
Officials said she apparently drowned accidentally.
Stand up and tell me the truth. I know things go bad. I know people lose their tempers. I know bad things happen when you don't want them to.
For more than 40 years, the mysterious death of Natalie Wood has haunted Hollywood, and no one has been more closely scrutinized than her husband, Robert Wagner. That night in 1981, Natalie disappeared from their yacht near Catalina Island, only to be found lifeless in the icy waters. The world has long demanded answers, and Wagner has remained largely silent, carefully guarding the truth behind one of Hollywood's most infamous tragedies. Now, at 95, Wagner has finally broken his silence, but only partially. He has admitted one long-buried fact about that night, offering a glimpse into the events that claimed Natalie's life. Yet, in true Wagner fashion, he has left out the most crucial details, keeping the world guessing and fueling decades of speculation. What did he reveal after all these years? Why did he stay silent for so long? And what crucial moments of that night is he still refusing to disclose? This is a story of secrecy, grief, and a confession that opens a window into the past while leaving the biggest questions unanswered. For fans, historians, and true crime enthusiasts alike, Wagner's admission is tantalizing, but the full truth about Natalie Wood's tragic final night remains shrouded in mystery. The night of November 28th to 29th, 1981, is etched into Hollywood history as one of the most tragic and mysterious events the entertainment world has ever seen. Natalie Wood, a beloved actress renowned for her luminous performances in West Side Story, Rebel Without a Cause, and countless other films, disappeared from the yacht Splendor, where she was spending the weekend with her husband, Robert Wagner, and actor Christopher Walken. What was meant to be a peaceful escape quickly descended into chaos, leaving a tragedy that would captivate and confound the public for decades. Natalie Wood had a career that many could only dream of. But off-screen, her life was far more complicated. Her marriage to Wagner was passionate yet turbulent, marked by periods of tension and reconciliation. Friends and colleagues would later reveal that the weekend leading up to her death had been unusually strained, with small arguments and tense silences hinting at underlying conflicts. While these disagreements might have seemed trivial at the time that night, they became part of a puzzle whose pieces would remain elusive for decades. According to reports, the evening began normally with dinner and drinks on the yacht. Laughter and conversation filled the air, but by nightfall, Natalie attempted to board a smaller dinghy to reach shore. How she ended up in the cold, dark waters has been the subject of speculation ever since. Attempts to rescue her were immediate, yet the water was icy, the conditions treacherous, and Natalie tragically drowned. The official investigation at the time labeled her death an accident, citing drowning and hypothermia with alcohol as a contributing factor. Almost immediately, questions began to swirl. Was it a tragic accident, or had something more sinister occurred? Were the arguments earlier that evening relevant? What role, if any, did Wagner or Walken play in the events that unfolded? Inconsistent statements, conflicting memories, and incomplete evidence fueled speculation. The public's fascination with the case only grew, as did the pressure on Wagner to provide answers he was clearly reluctant to give. Wagner himself remained largely silent in the years following the tragedy. Interviews were rare, and when they occurred, he was cautious, offering fragments of information but refusing to discuss the most critical moments. This silence, while perhaps intended to protect his privacy and reputation, only intensified public curiosity and suspicion. Every passing year left fans and investigators yearning for clarity, hoping Wagner might finally shed light on the night that had irrevocably changed both his life and Natalie's. The night of Natalie Wood's death remains a subject of fascination, not only because of the tragedy itself, but also because of the secrecy surrounding it. Robert Wagner, now 95, has finally broken decades of silence, but only enough to reveal one small part of the story. His selective admission hints at truths long speculated about, while leaving the most crucial questions unanswered. This chapter in Hollywood history is a haunting reminder of how a single night can define lives, shape legacies, and create mysteries that endure for generations. Following Natalie Wood's tragic death, Robert Wagner became a figure of intense public scrutiny. While he continued his acting career, appearing in television shows and films, The shadow of that night on Catalina Island hung over him like a dark cloud. For decades, he maintained a careful silence, granting only limited interviews and offering fragments of the truth, leaving both fans and investigators frustrated and intrigued. His discretion or perhaps strategic withholding of details allowed rumors to fester, fueling speculation that ranged from tragic accident to potential foul play. Wagner's decades of silence became almost as famous as the tragedy itself. Authors, journalists, and true crime enthusiasts meticulously dissected interviews, public appearances, and news reports, searching for clues that might illuminate the events aboard the Splendor. Every detail was scrutinized. The sequence of events, the behavior of Natalie, Wagner, and Wagner, and the inconsistencies in their accounts. The more Wagner said, the more questions seemed to arise. The less he said, the more his silence was interpreted as guilt, complicity, or protective instinct. The public was left with a mystery that seemed both tantalizing and unsolvable. During this period, investigators struggled to piece together the night's events. Initially, the Los Angeles County coroner ruled Natalie's death as accidental drowning, influenced by hypothermia and alcohol. But later reviews, prompted by new information and public interest, reclassified her death as undetermined, deepening the intrigue. Wagner cooperated with authorities when required, but he avoided offering a full, personal narrative. His careful, limited statements contributed to the mythos surrounding the tragedy, painting him as both a grieving widower and a man harboring secrets. Hollywood colleagues and friends watched Wagner's approach with a mix of empathy and curiosity. Many understood that the loss of Natalie was profound and heartbreaking, yet they also recognized the pressure he faced under the glare of public scrutiny. Over time, his silence became a protective mechanism, a way to preserve privacy while navigating the endless questions that followed him through interviews, talk show appearances, and award ceremonies. Even decades later, his restraint became a hallmark of his persona, a man burdened by grief, yet mindful of the consequences of revealing too much. Wagner's selective recounting fueled countless books, documentaries, and media retrospectives. Fans debated, investigators revisited evidence, and historians analyzed every public statement, hoping for insight. The story of Natalie Wood's death, intertwined with Wagner's silence, became a lesson in both human behavior and celebrity culture. Grief, guilt, secrecy, and public fascination all collided to create a narrative that was as compelling as it was incomplete. Now, at 95, Wagner has finally revealed one piece of the puzzle. While it sheds light on a detail long speculated about, it leaves the crucial moments of that night, what truly happened, what was said, and what actions were taken, shrouded in mystery. His confession provides both clarity and continued ambiguity, reminding the world that even after decades, some truths remain elusive, and some secrets are carried until the very end. At 95 years old, Robert Wagner finally addressed the events of that fateful night, breaking decades of silence with a revelation that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and true crime circles alike. However, in classic Wagner fashion, his admission was measured and selective. While he confirmed one specific fact about the night Natalie Wood died, he carefully avoided discussing the most critical details, leaving fans, investigators, and historians with only a fragment of the story. Wagner's admission focused on the timeline aboard the yacht. He confirmed that there had been tension that night, arguments, and raised voices that reflected the underlying stress in their marriage. Yet he insisted that the disagreement never escalated to violence, claiming that Natalie's decision to leave the main deck for the dinghy was voluntary and that he had no intention of harming her. For decades, speculation had swirled over what occurred in the moments before she fell into the water. And while Wagner's statement clarified part of the sequence, it left many of the most critical questions unanswered. The confession also offered insight into the couple's emotional state that evening. Wagner described Natalie as complex and unpredictable, playful one moment, frustrated the next. He painted a portrait of a passionate, emotionally charged relationship, full of love yet marked by moments of tension. By revealing this, he gave the public a glimpse into the private dynamics that may have contributed to the tragedy. Still, he intentionally avoided detailing the moments immediately preceding her disappearance, leaving the events that led to her drowning shrouded in ambiguity. Reactions were swift and varied. Some praised Wagner for finally acknowledging a long-speculated fact, seeing it as a measure of honesty after decades of silence. Others criticized the admission as frustratingly incomplete, arguing that it raised more questions than it answered. What precisely happened on the yacht? Did alcohol play a role? Were there moments of negligence or misjudgment? By leaving these questions unresolved, Wagner ensured that the mystery remained alive, continuing decades-long debate over the circumstances of Natalie's death. For historians and true crime enthusiasts, Wagner's confession is both tantalizing and maddening. It confirms certain elements long suspected, such as the argument and Natalie's voluntary movement toward the dinghy, but it avoids other essential details, leaving critical gaps. Investigators continue to analyze reports, interviews, and testimony, but the truth remains elusive. Wagner's decision to disclose only part of the story highlights the delicate balance between preserving personal privacy and satisfying public curiosity, a balance he has maintained his entire life. Emotionally, Wagner's revelation carries weight. After decades of being scrutinized, questioned, and often vilified, he has finally addressed a chapter of his life that has defined him. It reflects a man confronting his past, acknowledging a fragment of the truth while choosing to shield the most intimate, painful details. For the public, this selective confession is a bittersweet moment. It confirms certain theories, but it leaves the central mystery intact, a reminder that some truths may never be fully revealed. Ultimately, Wagner's confession at 95 underscores the enduring enigma of Natalie Wood's death. He has illuminated a small piece of the puzzle, but the full story, the complete truth of what happened that night, remains tantalizingly out of reach. His words offer clarity and restraint, grief and discretion, and a reminder that some stories, no matter how long we wait, hold secrets that persist even through decades of public attention. Even after Robert Wagner's partial confession at 95, the questions surrounding Natalie Wood's death remain as compelling as ever. While he revealed a fragment of the truth, the argument, the tension, and Natalie's voluntary movement toward the dinghy, the most critical details remain undisclosed. This selective admission has reignited curiosity, leaving fans, investigators, and Hollywood historians to sift through decades of speculation, incomplete accounts, and conflicting narratives. The moments that Wagner chose not to discuss are arguably the most important. What precisely occurred on the deck, how alcohol may have influenced judgment, and the dynamics between Wagner, Walken, and Natalie in the final minutes before her fall. Even after extensive investigations and re-examinations of evidence, inconsistencies and unanswered questions persist. Wagner's silence on these aspects has fueled ongoing debate, with some interpreting it as caution, others as protection, and some as an evasion of responsibility. Whatever the reasoning, the mystery continues to captivate public imagination. Yet Wagner's revelation also carries emotional weight. At 95, he is confronting a lifetime shaped by tragedy, loss, and public scrutiny. By revealing one key fact, he acknowledges the past without fully exposing the painful, private details. This act of selective disclosure reflects both the human desire for truth and the instinct to protect oneself from legal, emotional, and public consequences. It is a delicate balance, offering enough to satisfy curiosity while preserving personal privacy and dignity. Natalie Wood's legacy, meanwhile, endures beyond the tragedy. She remains one of Hollywood's brightest stars, celebrated for her talent, charisma, and the depth she brought to every performance. Her death, shrouded in mystery, has become inseparable from her legacy, illustrating the complex interplay between fame, vulnerability, and mortality. While Wagner's partial confession adds context, it does not diminish her memory, it highlights the enduring enigma surrounding her final night and the human stories intertwined with it. The saga of Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner is also a reflection of celebrity culture itself. Hollywood has long been a place where private lives collide with public fascination, and where secrets often persist behind closed doors. Wagner's partial admission demonstrates the tension between disclosure and discretion, between the need for closure and the instinct for privacy. Even decades after the tragedy, the story continues to provoke discussion, analysis, and reflection. Ultimately, the full truth of Natalie Wood's death remains elusive. Wagner's confession offers a glimpse into the events, but leaves the central mystery intact. It reminds us that some stories, no matter how public, retain their secrets, shaping legacies, influencing perceptions, and capturing imaginations for generations. For Wagner, Natalie, and the millions who have followed this tragedy, the night on the yacht stands as both a heartbreaking chapter and a testament to the enduring complexity of human lives, choices, and the mysteries that persist beyond the reach of time.